Hello everyone and welcome back to the Spearhead cast with me, Matt. We're only one here on the fields of Inikendonk, normally a TV2 map. Let's see how this will turn out then. We have iCarrot playing as the Wehrmacht's Panzer Tactics, or Panzer Division, Renegade, and we have Stockler Mulvey, the developer of Spearhead 2 mod at the moment, as the United States of America, on the Western Front here. Now this should be interesting because this is one on the new patch obviously, so there's like a thing where you have to get the lieutenant first and get a specific ammunition upgrade before the riflemen and all United States basic infantry start to fire, as they did in the previous patch. So the United States should not be as powerful early game anymore as they used to be. So the riflemen shouldn't just dominate everything as they did before. Now they actually need to take up and get a specific tech to start dominating with the riflemen. Anyway, we'll need to see how it turns out and see what commander stock goes. But currently we're just seeing some Volksgrenadier followed by... I think there's double Volksgrenadier. Ooh. Double Volksgrenadier for iCarrot. No Grenadier. Suppose they're just relying on that to get some field presence at the moment. Do note the Volksgrenadiers and Grenadiers cost the same, and they technically have the same stats, they just get different upgrades and abilities. That's really the only difference. Americans are advancing pretty fast. Need to see what goes on here. Pioneers gonna engage with the riflemen shortly. I don't think the Americans won that fight, actually. Because the Pioneers are actually not bad infantry. They cost the same as most... Well, I actually think they cost the same as all the German basic infantry. Yeah, they should have the same stats, basically. But they're not bad. Like, Pioneers are actually pretty competent in combat. It's just about the equipment and abilities you need to think about. Pioneers were actually equipped sometimes to be assault specialists, as I understand. And applied to wherever they were needed. Volksgrenadiers might win that engagement, because you can see... The Americans definitely do not have the same fire rate at the moment. Because they don't have that upgrade. So the Volksgrenadiers should be able to outlast this engagement, especially with the Pioneers flanking. Oh, but we have Realism trying to flank in. Well, that's not good. Now the Germans might be in trouble. Volksgrenadiers are quickly rushing. Oh, rifleman mode down! Realism is not going to last long, I feel. It looks like the Germans might win that engagement. Pineapple going out though. It looks like the Germans touch it, but most of the field has fallen to the Americans while this was happening. You have a Grenadier squad called in. Bit of a long-range combat at the Volksgrenadier. Only when it comes to upgrades, because I think without upgrades they actually have the exact same loadout. Ooh, America's gonna flank these Volksgrenadier. And you can see that it's immediately starting to mow them down, but they do not fire as fast anymore. But I think that Volksgrenadier is still gonna die. Yep, Thompson took him out. That's a really good change for the Americans, I feel. Like, they do not dominate as much early on. But they still get to feel powerful when they get to the first tech here. I think we'll actually see the technology pop up down here in the toolbar once we actually see the tech up. I think it's called Acquisition Ammunition. We might have seen it briefly in another match of this new patch. More riflemen pushing up, still no commander choice picked. Like you can see the Grenadiers are still lasting a while out in the open. On the previous patch with just full on firepower, they would have been mowed down immediately. Grenadiers getting behind cover. Let's see, we also have a machine gun here, an MG42 coming out for the Wehrmacht. Pineapple going on the Grenadiers. They dodged it. Americans have most of the battlefield though, which is pretty bad for the Wehrmacht. But the Wehrmacht are pushing up with the infantry now. Let's see. Don't know, full take up here for the Americans. It takes a while to take up. But then, oh, they have a Comanches. I think this is mechanized. Yeah, no, this is tank destroyer. Never mind, tank destroyer. We've already seen the 28th infantry being called in. A cheaper rifleman squad you can get if you're playing as tank destroyer.
Steady up. Rifle squad ready for action.
Riflemen around here. Or the 28th being called in just to fill up the front line, I imagine. They are fairly cheap, and they are actually pretty effective. Because they do arrive with M1 Garands. I think most American infantry do, even cheapest ones. Well, except the rear echelon. They are arriving with Springfields now instead of carbines. I wonder with this change if they could be giving carbines again. Where they just fire very slow with them. Like the riflemen do. That could potentially be an idea. Germans are securing a lot of front line. Let's see if the tech will show up down here in the toolbar.
We have a lieutenant.
Yes, it does. The M1 Garand ammunition requisition. Not a very expensive one, but it's a really good one. I like it. Grenadiers to hold up there in the center. Or some MP4 has been handed out to the Volksgrenadiers. Generally a good choice for the medium to close range combat. See if Stockholm will go for that upgrade quick. Or do they always have it unlocked when you get to it? Or it's just because he doesn't have the manpower, that's why. Or is it just unlocked? I have no idea, it doesn't show anything. It might just be the toolbar that's bugged on this server view, who knows. Regardless, we have the 28th fighting down here. And the 42 in the center here. We're pressing one at 28th, but we have some actual riflemen trying to push up here.
We just lost a unit.
They're trying to get in the flank, but they'll be able to utilize the M1 Garands a lot faster. Oh, that might be a dead MG being outflanked. And they're mowing them down. And that's the power of the M1 Garand, everyone. While this is happening, the Germans have begun securing the fuel up here. Americans are snapping that MT-42 for themselves. Volksgrenadiers are falling back on this angle. Riflemen are moving to try and intercept. Grenadiers are ready to pull out on the battlefield again. They need some weaponry though, and we are seeing a replacement MT-42 being called out. Now the American MG42 is going to be very dangerous to deal with. Like these Grenadiers might be in trouble. Yep. Especially because they're out in the open. MG42s are very dangerous.
We're losing a capture
Just as dangerous in Allied hands as they are in German ones.
We got orders coming.
Americans have secured a whole lot of the fields. Germans are trying to tear up though with a Waffenkammer to probably get some light vehicles out. I think they needed to deal with the Americans.
Grenadiers.
All Grenadiers are being equipped with MP40s.
We are ready for action. Reinforcements complete. How can we help?
Or riflemen being armed with the BARs. Depending on who fires first and what position, they might be able to win that engagement. Ooh, but the Volksgrenadiers are on the open road. There are double Volksgrenadier nearby. Gonna spot those people laying assignment. Yeah.
The enemy is attempting to steal our sector.
Getting behind cover there. MP42 mowing down the Realism. Or MP4 just coming around the corner. Pineapple going in the way. Americans falling back.
Seizing the sector.
These two American. Oh, one American is only gonna make it back. Still not getting that Grenadier, but it is very expensive. The Germans are lacking munitions at the moment. I'm just going around, probably trying to find another place to set up, because the Germans have a lot of territory to work with. They are getting a 221 though, which could help. Americans are sitting in a 50 caliber position though, which can shoot straight through the 221 unless it gets the Radpanzer. Radpanzer is very, very much needed if you're fighting against armies that use 50 caliber weaponry.
I smell orders.
Here it is. I bet you we're gonna see the autocannon upgrade almost immediately, so it becomes a 222. Yep. Just that. No, he switched it for the Radpanzer. Okay. Even runs into the 50 caliber before the Radpanzer is done. Need to be cautious after all. Ooh, I think it's gonna get into the 50 caliber position before the Radpanzer is complete. Ooh, it's standing still.
Crowds are sniffing around our asses. Tactical point.
I'm a piercing bullets loaded on the MG42. We're pulling back. It definitely needs that Radpanzer upgrade. At least they didn't lose the 221. Chinese are now fighting a lot of Americans, and there's always 28th moving in to intercept the retreat path. So I think that might be a dead Pioneer squad. Yeah, that's a dead Pioneer squad. That's why you need to always cover your flanks. 2-2's relocating. Well, 2-2-1, I mean. But now it has Radpanzer, which means I don't think the Americans have anything that can pierce it. I suppose they have anti-tank rifle grenades on the riflemen, but I think the Radpanzer might give it enough armor to deflect those. We'll need to see.
Our lines of supply are disrupted.
So far, it seems to be doing a pretty decent job there. Suppressing the American infantry. It's allowing the MT-42 to get in position.
Securing our territory.
But more Americans are preparing to flank in. Stock is just being very good at just overwhelming the German positions. Smoke grenade to allow him to retreat safely. Nice. But the Germans are already base locked at this point. This is not looking good for the German player at all. 2-2-1 is about to become a 2-2-2, which might help. The vultures sitting up behind the hay as the Volksgrenadiers are buying time. Lots of a big firefight here. But needs to be cautious. 2-2-1 is almost a 2-2-2. Also, well, as the tank gun is pulling onto the field now for the Americans, but it's far away. Ooh, that was a tactical charge. Going down the Volksgrenadier there. Now it's a 2-2-2, and if Autocans get successful hits, that's going to be a lot of damage on the Americans. You can see just taking out a few of the members there. Breeze gun sending out to some of the American riflemen. But Germans are lacking a lot in infantry at the moment. Or just field presence is not looking good for them. .30 caliber setup here.
We have a fresh grenadier squad.
2 is still riding around. 80 gun is trying to get into position to hit it. Panzer 4 F1 coming out, good choice. They need some kind of presence. We also have a tank hunter squad infiltrated. And a tank team, which I believe Tank Destroyer can just do. Take an ambient building on the map and spawn them in from. Ooh, just needs to be careful because that's the AT gun. Oh, it bounced thanks to the Radpanzer. Oh, and that's why you get Radpanzer. It's so needed. And it really improves the survivability of that 2-2-2. Never underestimate Radpanzer. In my opinion, you should always get Radpanzer before the autocannon. Because I feel just having more armor can just save you in certain situations. And we know there's a 50 caliber position down here though. For 2 pull back. A2 Sherman coming out here for the United States. They get around in time. Nope. It got a hit shot on the flank. Destroying its Pendle gunner. And by being hit at the side, it's going to lose its tracks. 50 caliber shoots straight through it. Yeah, it's been immobilized. And it cannot shoot. But the 50 caliber cannot shoot it either anymore. Panzer 4 F1 is on the field though. Yeah, it's not looking good here for I Carrot. Panzer 4 F1 is pushing forwards. There it goes. Tank rifle is going out on the flank of the tank. Doesn't do anything. Side skirts deflecting it. This is a little bit of a harder target for the Americans to deal with, in all honesty. Our explosive almost killed the 28th. 80 gun is setting up though, a 57mm. Oh, they killed the gunner on the 50 caliber position. Nice to see. And taking it out. Very nice. F1 is providing a good bit of fire support here. Needs to be cautious though, the 57 is waiting. Blitzkrieging. Deflecting from the 57, that's lucky. There is a mine late though. And A2 Sherman is going to reveal itself.
The enemy is overrunning.
The F1 does not want that fight. Oh, so far it's actually working out for it. There's no heat shells though on the F1 at the moment. Oh, it penetrated! F1 is actually doing a pretty decent job here. Despite being outclassed against the Sherman generally. I guess the humble stub nose is still doing its job. It does fire fast. Oh, it does not want to follow. It does not want to follow. Been very lucky here for the Germans. Pack 40 has also arrived. Nice. They got a sight set on the Sherman. Killing it. Oh, they didn't kill it, but they destroyed the engine. One more shot should do it. Smoke landing. It deflects. It might give the Americans the time they need. Still trying to get it back. Mine has been spotted. There's a minesweep on the Pioneer. 80 gun is now in trouble. You can really see how the battles can shift very quickly on certain things, and luck. Luck is a big part of the battle too. Like 40 moving up again. F1 is pushing forward. Oh, F57 got a shot in. Oh, and the Sherman gets the F1. But the Sherman then gets taken out by the Pack 40. F1 can still be recovered. And here comes all the American infantry. Alongside a captain to lead the front line. Very brave of him. As he says, we're in some glory or something. And perhaps he can claim a German tanks as a trophy for back home. Something to help in his political career after the war. Doesn't look like his pistol model is modeled in. Unfortunately, that might be just a visual bug. That happens sometimes. Not sure what the captain for tank destroyer is meant to have. Now, the Germans are still lacking in troops at the moment. The Americans are still overwhelming them. But the tank duel was a little bit spectacular to see. I liked it. Americans are flanking around them with the BAR. MG42 is trying to set up. The Americans are noticing, so they need to get the hell out of there. Another pack called in. I guess the Germans are preparing for more American armor, but it looks like the Americans are aiming for more armor at the moment. Would be an idea to try and invest in some some Panzer Grenadiers. That's a lot of American rifles just pointing this direction. MG42 out in the open. And we're just gonna kill this, gonna be an easy target. Yeah, on the open like that, you don't want your machine guns. Truck arriving here for the United States shall be enforced in the field and repair the F1. I guess the captain does have his eyes on that thing. Perhaps the captain maybe doesn't want that thing. 30 caliber still present in this crater. And an MG42 back here, covering the other MG42. But the Americans are quickly rushing up through the smoke to grab this one. Very, very cheeky of the Americans. Probably not the right way to retreat, though, in my opinion. Oh, it's because there's an American 40 HQ here. Not the position the Fox Grenadiers wants to be in, I feel. Reese guns can shoot at them. Break going out. Except it's bugged. That happens sometimes. It's a big issue. F1 is being repaired now. Thanks to the truck. We're actually gonna see an American F1. That is hilarious. I didn't think I'd see that. Americans also sending with 40 HQ here. Americans with an F1 Panzer. Quite awkward. Ooh, Pack 4 is trying to hit it.
Send your orders.
Back to full numbers.
Ooh, got a penetrating shot there.
Go ahead.
F1 still has a heavy engine damage, so... Half Clark hole in. German recon infantry now armed with Gewehr 43 as a dispatch instead of a marksman rifle. Recon troops are just overall cheaper as well. But they don't serve as marksmen anymore. They are recon. Oh, yeah, F1 got decrewed again, but it's still alive. Pax needs to pull back, I feel. They did destroy the F1 this time, denying it to the Americans. Well, that's some white phosphorus shells landing. Some 105 white phosphorus, it looks like. I think that's 105. Yeah, 105. That's some pretty big white phosphorus shells. Germans are investing in another MT4 to another pack. I'm not sure it's going to work for long, depending on what the Americans do, because the Americans are finally also taking the field down here. Although the Germans have kind of been base locked for a while, or at least limited to very few territories. The Americans are just slowly creeping further and further in. Perhaps the Germans need to consider digging trenches.
Anti-tank gun has arrived. The enemy has driven a wedge in our lines.
I feel like the Germans need infantry. They're getting a half-track though. Not sure how much that'll help, but it's a half-track, I guess. It's some kind. It's something. Germans starting to get behind our sandbags again. What's going to try and go for the fuel again, but that might be difficult. That's not like they can get anything out of it as long as the Americans hold this cutoff point.
Half-track has arrived.
Captain's not trying to fight him. Americans are preparing to flank though. Fire superior also loaded, but they're getting hit by a MG42. Going down one squad. Austrians are trying to push forward, but that might be a risky maneuver, except there's not a lot to stop them right now. One American squad is being pulled down to stop them, though. Americans are focusing a lot on rapid movement. Half-track on the field here, and we have a Jackson? Wow, okay, we're gonna see a Jackson. A little bit overkill, but I guess they're just afraid the Germans would have somehow pulled a pan for a Tiger up their ass. I don't see that at this point, because the Germans just don't have the fuel for that. They are taking up, though. You could see a Panzer IV if they last long enough, or Stuk. Afkla is opening fire for some reason. He's very trigger happy. After stays around, probably just this way to reinforce in the front line. That 30 caliber is still holding on there. I think the third... Oh, it's not armed with armor-piercing bullets at the moment. But it is suppressing the gunner. Boom. Anti-tank rifle grenade missed. Needs to switch to armor-piercing bullets and target a half-track. But they have suppressed it for a while. Tank on the team is in range. They hit the half-track and killed it.
Tank destroyer is ready for orders.
Overall, just looks a very good American operation here. Command Luke's called in. This is actually a very potent command vehicle, by the way. It's basically just a better 222 in all honesty. With the ability to call in artillery strikes. It looks like this road is proving a problem for the autocannon. Or because there's meant to be like a hill incline there.
Manufacturing capability speed increased.
It knows they're there, so it's still shooting. Just cannot hit at this long range. Jackson on the field, and all of the American tank destroyers have gotten increased range, I believe.
Tank support is here.
So they can actually brawl a little bit more with Axis vehicles at long range. And the Jackson is firing a 90mm gun, so that's a pretty big cannon. There's double pack though. No penetration. The Germans know there's Jackson though. We also have another A2 Sherman called in for the Americans. I imagine we're going to see an American breakthrough at some point. Germans are really running low on supplies. Will they also get a hit? No, it's still hitting this little wall here. There we go, it broke it. That might be the opening they needed on this flank.
Standing by for orders.
But Jackson is quickly trying to relocate.
Send your orders. Under fire.
I think the Germans hear it. And now, there we go, the pack is set up to counter it. Oh, good penetration there, killing the gunners. Now it's actually just not able to do anything.
Mortar team, ready for
The Lukes
orders.
need to act quickly. I don't think an MG42 position is gonna last for long. Yeah, seeing a Sherman who trying to get in, but it lost its mobility. Oh, it's actually armed with high explosive shields.
Killed a machine gun crew.
Recon team taken out. Pack is not able to penetrate at the moment. There we go, got it. Luke's getting shots in. Where's the Jackson? Back there getting repaired. Americans are trying to push up.
We lost an infantry unit. They got wiped out.
Very, generally infantry pushes can be very hard to do. Looks like the Americans might have succeeded, but they took some losses.
We have lost a pack gun.
Lux needs to get itself together and do more damage. It's not doing enough here, I feel. And the American BARs are just chewing through the German infantry. Hang on the team up behind the sandbags. The sandbags not working in the Americans' favor. Asuka misses. We also have double American mortar now to start chilling the Germans. Stark is doing a lot of combined arms, which is good to see. That's what you generally want to do. Combined arms is very good if you can pull it off. And now we have several more Americans just being prepared for another infantry push, I imagine. Jackson's also ready again. Yeah, the Germans are not gonna last long, I feel. Like, they're lasting a lot longer than I thought they would. Which honestly still surprises me. Got an Aufklar called in. Most units are trying to go for the mortars. Yeah, because we have some machine guns around to cover them. They're still vulnerable in their current position. Another air captured MG42 quickly trying to set up.
Ready for orders.
Was the Fox Grenadiers back?
Ready for orders. Ready. Crew ready.
Jackson's destroying the packs. So far, it's animation actually plays before, after the shield goes out, which I think is changed in the next version of the mod. You can see that. But it's just a visual bug, really. Yeah, as you're watching this, new patch is probably already out. I'm just very slow on recording, and I'm only releasing one video a day, obviously, so it's obviously that. Lux is trying to do his best here, but Jackson wants to get a shot on that Lux. And he has to grab him the pack. Good shot on the Jackson there, which is what the Lux should probably move up on. MT427. I really think a trench right around here for the MT4 will be a good idea because it will allow it to keep good eye on this while still being in heavy cover and having extra protection from everything. Smoke shells are landing. Or smoke shells from the mortars. Luke's is pushing up. The A2 Sherman is being prepared. Germans are just lacking in infantry right now. They're just relying on weapon teams and the Lukes. Which I don't think is a sustainable way to advance. You always need infantry in my opinion. Speaking of infantry, now they are getting a squad of grenadier.
Ready for orders.
28 for taking a lot of losses trying to hold the front line here. Lux is just very good at shooting them down at range at the moment.
New grenadier squad is ready.
Overall, I think there's been a lot of good changes to the mod here recently, especially the whole change with anti-tank guns as well with the high explosive shells. I think that's one of the better changes to help having prolonged infantry fights and make AT guns less likely to be able to defend themselves against infantry. Jackson is present. Got a shot there, and the ammo cooked off on the Lukes. Command team evacuates. Well, the Germans are trying to advance here with what little infantry they have. But the Americans still have the machine guns they stole to cover the flanks.
Armor ready.
Cap moving up here against the Pioneers. He'll probably win that with his invisible pistol. Yeah, the captain is probably not the brightest tool in the shed, but he has connections from his days in the Mafia. A2 Sherman pushing up here with high explosive shells. Given to it by Thunder Run. Allowing the Sherman to just use high explosive shells as his basic shell. A very good late game for dealing with German infantry and fortifications. Ostwind? I'm not sure Ostwind is gonna work, but I suppose that's all they can really afford at the moment. Command team from the tank is just out here with the Luger pistols and an MP40. High explosive loaded here into Jackson. Missed because they evacuated their position, obviously. A2 Sherman is quickly relocating down here. I'm still surprised the German is holding on. Like, at this point, I don't think there's any shame in surrendering. Oh, that squad died entirely. Half class taking some shots. Getting killed there by high explosive shell. Turn into Gibbs, or Gibbs.
Panzer has arrived.
Ostwind on the fields, which I'm not sure is going to do much against the Sherman, but you never know. Which is 3.7 centimeter, I believe. 3.7 centimeter? Yeah. 3.7 centimeter flak gun. Like, it's a pretty large flak gun, I won't deny that, but I don't think it's up to deal with armored vehicles like a tank. Tank has quickly been dragged back here by the Germans. Ostwind's going to reveal itself. You know, the Ostwind does not have a lot of armor because of its unique turret. It's very thin. But so far it seems to have stopped. It's not being penetrated by that 57. Lucky for it. Oh, Sherman took a pack shot. Several Shermans are preparing here. Just one more Sherman. I do feel the Germans need more infantry, but I can't really afford it at this moment. Well, yeah, that's a dead Sherman. Good job, Pax. Working together there.
Our opponents are seizing a sector.
Yeah, you can just see the army sizes compared at this point.
Enemy
Oh,
lines.
Germans are going for some Panzer Grenadiers now. Some actual good infantry to support the vehicle. The Ostwind. Oh, Sherman pushing up here. Ostwind's trying to do his best against the infantry, but it's not really designed to deal with infantry. It's meant to deal with planes.
We have been assigned fresh Panzer Grenadiers.
Like, it's not what I would specially call an anti-infantry weapon, because that's not what its intended purpose is. But it is a good autocannon for suppression, so I suppose it does help. Not sure what's better, actually. It's mostly just the armor, I suppose.
We need orders.
I still feel the 2-2 might be better for infantry support just with an autocannon. But of course the low armor compared to the Ostwind is pretty obvious.
Our infantry can now rush into the enemy line.
The Ostwind can at the very least deal with lighter vehicles, but it has no way of dealing with a tank. So we have a scavenging going on here by the Germans. Grabbing the pack again. And they scavenge the record the Lux, getting 12 fuel back. That's not a lot though, considering they only have a 7 fuel income, because they only really have their base terrain and this 1 point. Doesn't really give them a lot to work with. I think the American machine gun behind heavy cover should win this engagement. That was not firing. For some reason. There we go. Oh, and that's a dead Panzer Grenadier hit by a high explosion shell. From the Jackson, I think. Ooh. Jackson does need to be cautious. MG42 seems like it's won out the engagement though, thanks to the Panzer Grenadiers being a sacrificial unit at the moment. But Warner hits the MG42 crew. Vertical crew is gone though. Oh, crew, the MG42 is dead.
We have lost an MG team.
Honestly, I think at this point there's no shame in just admitting defeat, because
We have a fresh Grenadier.
it's very hard to come back against the Allies at this point. The Allies are very powerful late game if they can get everything going. Mostly like the Americans with Thunder on. That's so potent. Let's just speed up time and see what happens. I don't think we can expect much.
A capture point is under
I'll
attack.
keep my eyes though if anything happens.
Force here. Sherman ready.
It's mostly just a little bit back and forth around the Ostwind here. Jackson moves up and misses. Lots of packs still are threatening all the Germans. But at this point he surrenders. Yeah, makes sense. Well, I hope you all enjoyed this 1v1 on a 2v2 map. Until next time, everyone. Bye bye.